lanes being closed and so forth, that may ultimately cause a decrease in revenues at the local level where the state may need to come in and try to help. But that's really premature because no one's asked for that. It just depends on how long it goes. But I can see kind of a secondary need from the state on a temporary basis or on a cash flow basis until things are replenished through FEMA or through BP or whoever's going to end up ultimately being responsible.
Okay. There was a bill that passed out of the House of Governmental Affairs this morning. This would be the per diem bill. It would cap the per diem for 2 years as amended. Very close vote. What is your view of whether or not the per diem should be frozen? And is this bill the way to do it?
Well, I don't know. Given the budgetary circumstances, this is something we've talked about, and we actually, I think in the final draft of the legislative budget bill, we had a per diem freeze in it, but I'm not certain if we ever were going to amend it in. I don't think that it's such a bad idea, given the circumstances, for us to look at a freeze for the remainder of the term. I will not be in favor of freezing anything beyond the current term. I think that's for members at that point in time to make that decision. But, you know, I think it's appropriate for us to take a look at that. And, you know, we're going to be doing our part through the legislative budget where we can to cut. And this is one of those little areas. Now, I will say, too, technically, I haven't read these bill, Representative Richard's bill, but if it's just a straight freeze, I don't know if that's what we want more. I think what we probably want more is a cap. Because, as you know, last year our per diem went down. And so if you freeze it...
I think the per diem went up, but the mileage went down.
Well, look, he's only dealing with per diem and not mileage as a combined.
I didn't see anything in the bill. It's a very short bill. And I talked with him about this cap
Okay,
issue.
Sheila's the way we know it's just per diem. All right, well, then we lump all that together. So we'll leave the per diem then, as long as it's some type of like that. I will make sure that how he's got it worded, that if it went down, we didn't get frozen because we'll get hung by you all for freezing it because we knew 2 years in advance it was going down, you know, and I don't see that.
He seemed to think he couldn't do that, but I think after further discussions, he's looking at that also.
Yeah, well, I'll visit with him about it, but I think it's something that, you know, like I said, we're going to all try to do our part. This is going to be a very rough 3-year budget cycle. And by 3 years, I mean it's supplemental through the end of June. In the 11 year, which begins July 1 through June 30 of 11, and then when the federal money runs out in July 1 of 11 through June 30 of 12, those 3 years.
And I know this is inside baseball, but I guess part of the question here is it would be an uncomfortable vote for a lot of members if they had to vote specifically on this issue, because you've got some members who, obviously from North Louisiana, who like to have that expense money, and people don't want to vote against each other. They don't want to look like they're not being Scrooges. I mean, just it has a lot of issues, and is there going to be a way to do this without having members having to vote on that specific issue?
I don't know that I agree with your premise. I think that the members are ready and recognize that we've got to, you know, restrain spending in the legislative arena as well. And I think more and more come to the realization that this is just one of those things that we can do to help make, you know, the public statement that we recognize the need for cutting back and do it. I don't know that we're going to have a big, it may be uncomfortable for some. I haven't talked to anybody who's come to me and said, you know, I hate this, and so it's early, but you know, I guess it just passed today. But I really don't think that the big rock'em sock'em fight is where we're heading on that.
Representative Lambert also passed down a bill to require a majority vote of both houses to be called into session when the governor calls a session. It was amended from 2/3 down to majority. Do you support that?
That's an interesting concept. I was unaware of that one. I'll have to go take a look at it. So he's going to say
The
governor calls a special session. So it doesn't just allow the governor to call a special session at his whim.
Right. He said he got that from speaking to other legislators from other states. Which is probably one of the troubles of it. They didn't see it necessarily. They didn't see all the ideas.
Right, exactly. I'll look at that one and see. I don't know